Hey everybody, welcome back to Fallout Equestria. Let's finish this chapter.
Pointing at my left ear. She'd already restored hearing to my right. Steelhooves stood next to us at the edge of the swimming pool, dripping with water that was making my pitbuck clickety-click wildly. He was arguing with Velvet over how much Radaway he needed to drink.
There's a video in the sidebar
Velvet
that
was
just
leaning
says
towards
the
every last
saddest
packet we had.
KKK member ever.
Steelhooves was insisting he didn't need any at all. My left ear began to mend. "We don't have time for this." Steelhooves stomped, cracking the tiles under his armored hoof. "Those creatures always travel in groups." "Then take the Radaway and stop being a baby," my shotgun surgeon spat back, glowering. "Seriously, do all of my patients have to be so difficult?"
Yeah, still, Hooves, just come out about your ghoulness. We'll support you.
Steelhooves bristled at that. Finally, I spoke up. "Steelhooves, tell her." Both of them turned to stare at me. Or, at least, I assumed Steelhooves was staring at me. His visor was pointed in my direction. "Tell me what?" Velvet asked slowly. Then, turning to Steelhooves, "Tell me what?" Steelhooves was silent. I sighed. "Look, if I was able to figure it out, so will she. She's smarter than I am." I could tell Velvet Remedy was forcing himself not to react to the compliment.
That's not true. You're just having withdrawal.
Steelhooves finally relented. "I'm a ghoul." Velvet Remedy, to her credit, didn't take a step back. Didn't even gasp. She was just strangely quiet for a while. Long enough that I would have worried I had lost my hearing again if it wasn't for the drip, drip, drip on the tiles underneath the Steel Ranger. "Radiation is regenerative for ghouls," Steelhooves admitted. "I was more in danger of drowning." In truth, there had been little danger of that with the rebreather and his magically powered armor.
Yep.
Of course, I realized, feeling slow and stupid. The alicorn was regenerating because she was in the pool. Radiation must affect them the same way.
But they can still drown.
"Well then, I guess you won't need the Radaway," Velvet Remedy concluded casually, slipping the packs back into one of her open medical boxes. Knowing I was by far the most capable of stealth, I determined that I should scout ahead. I spotted the alicorn's two sisters.
Little Pits really gotta hurry up and get off those damn drugs.
Their tails were to me, oblivious to my presence as they seemed to be focusing on magically
Sir,
trying to rip the door
Pitbuck,
of a
tell her
safe off
that.
its hinges.
Our special stats
Their coats were a deep purple, almost black. And that was not all I noticed. They have no cutie marks. I slipped my sniper rifle out and slid into the zen of Sats. Blam. The first alicorn went down hard, Blaine blasting out the front of her skull to paint the safe she'd been so focused on. The second began to turn, her shield already starting to form. But I was faster. And these creatures were not that much tougher than the rest of us if caught unawares and without the protective spells cast. Blam.
You know, critical strikes
I
are the
slipped out of
best.
Sats as the second alicorn's body slumped to the floor. I looked at the safe, the splatter of blood, brains, and bone reminding me that we never did go back and paint that note for Calamity.
Oh,
Wait.
yeah.
Stop. I'm looking at the gore from some pony, or at least something that I have just murdered. And I'm thinking,
yeah! You're starting to get to Doom Guy levels.
The horrors and violence of the equestrian wasteland. I wondered where this would fit on Monterey Jack's slide of loss of self. I also wondered what the hell the alicorns had been after. So I trotted up to pick the lock. The safe, however, refused to be unlocked. After examination and struggling, I realized that it wasn't jammed or broken by the alicorns. I just wasn't good enough. Well, I knew how to fix that. I found myself smiling as the party time Mintow washed me clean of all the stupidity and dullness that was holding me back.
God damn.
I took a deep breath of relief. Finally, I was the real me again. My smile faded as I turned to see Velvet Remedy watching me sadly. 3 more alicorns stood on the other side of a gaping divide. At least 5 internal floors had collapsed, leaving a honeycomb of half rooms ringing a massive pit.
You guys really gotta get her on detox, okay?
Steelhooves opened fire with his grenade machine gun, taking out one of them,
It's like Jesus.
and all the rooms around her, before she could fully erect her shield. The others launched themselves into the air, spreading their wings as their shield bubbled around them. I gave a prayer to Luna and floated out a memory orb, making sure it was the one of Pinkie Pie's last party, and not the one I had retrieved from the safe 7 floors below.
Oh, you got a new one, huh?
I began levitating the orb towards the closer of the two of them. The alicorn let out a wicked, bitter, and majestic laugh that echoed off the walls of the pit. Using telekinesis of her own, she knocked it free of my telekinetic sheath with a hurled chair. The orb containing the memory of Pinkie Pie's last party plunged into the depths below, bounced, rolled, and disappeared through a crack, lost forever. The dark purple-coated alicorn's voice rumbled with undeniable superiority. "Do you think we are fools? We remember how you killed us before."
Hive mind.
Oh, we were so fucked. "Run!" I yelled, turning tail and racing towards the stairs. Velvet Remedy and Steelhooves galloped after me.
Oh wait, did we already figure out their hive mind?
Out of the stairwell into a hallway. Turning,
because Lil Pip doesn't seem surprised about that.
Us. His grenade machine gun was useless against the shielded alicorn, but it was more than a match for the crumbling structure we were in. Concrete and wood rained down in a thunderous cloud of dust. "What happened?" Steelhooves demanded. Panting, I explained. "There's some sort of telepathy involved."
Oh, okay.
My fears had been proven true. Not just between the ones that are together. All of them.
Yeah, okay.
Every time we kill one, they learn from it. I wouldn't be able to trick them the same way twice. Our ploy bought us time, but not much. I could hear them on the other side, clearing a path to us. With a flash of light, one of the alicorns appeared right between us. "They can teleport too?"
Well, of course.
Velvet Remedy blurted.
Apparently it's not that hard to spell,
as
the recent
the creatures.
episodes have shown.
The alicorn herself seemed a little surprised. Apparently, teleporting into some place you can't see was a tricky work, even for these creatures. I didn't think she expected to be this close. Too bad she hadn't appeared a yard to either side, stuck herself in a wall. But no, we couldn't be that lucky.
Shoot her.
Or could we?
Her shield must be down.
I realized something very peculiar. The alicorn's sphere of shielding was up at full strength, but she appeared literally in the center of us. Part of each of us were inside of the barrier, including Steelhoove's metal rear end.
Fucker!
The alicorn began casting a spell. I felt a vice tighten around my heart. My hooves began to tingle. A heart attack spell? Feeling panic well up inside me as my heart struggled to beat, I suddenly knew how these creatures had killed the griffins through natural causes.
I was right!
"Move!" I yelled as I telekinetically grasped the sack of grenades. Steelhooves dashed forward, leaving the grenades inside the sack.
You could've just bucked her!
Without opening it to reveal the contents, I focused and tried to pull as many of the pins as I could. Unfortunately, moving objects I couldn't directly see...
Pause. This brings up a question. Are these energy shields the alicorns make, like the shields from the Phantom Menace? Like, they stop attacks, but they don't stop things moving through them. Kind of like the Stargate shields, where they stop very fast-moving things, but something slow-moving, like, say, a punch, is stopped. Is that how it works, or is that how these shields work? Basically, Phantom Menace shields, Stargate shields are kind of the same thing. The only fucking thing I liked about that movie was seeing the Gungan hand shields, like scutums. What do you call those big shields? But is that how these magical shields work? Because apparently they can move out of it. It's not like it's not a hard light barrier where they would basically be cut in half. Apparently they can move out of it. So can they move into it? Would a melee character, like if Lil Pip was spec'd for melee, would she be able to just walk up and then swing a rebar club through it because it's not moving fast enough for it to block? Interesting.
It was as difficult for me as teleporting into an unknown space was for an alicorn. I only managed to pull the pin.
I'm thinking of this in game terms, so I'm just thinking of a way that a melee character would be feasible for this. Oh, man.
I was on 3 before I backed out of the shield. The alicorn looked questioningly down at the sack as it fell to her feet. Her shield contained the explosion quite effectively. It was a gory and brilliant sight.
Ooh,
well, that would explain how griffins can get trapped on a roof, I said flatly. We had to fight our way through 4 more of the creatures before we made it to the roof.
Fuck, you're getting good at killing these things.
The combination of my stealth and Steelhove's massive firepower kept us alive, but it was getting harder. They were all alert for us now, and seemed to be coordinating their defenses. We had to run anytime they got their spells up, and we were not fast enough to take out more than 2 before the others were able to cast their shields.
This reminded me of that
on the roof were 4 more alicorns.
In Fallout 4 with all
they were sitting frozen at the 4 corners of the building, their attentions focused inward. Instead of surrounding themselves with a sphere of protective magic, they were cooperatively maintaining a hemisphere of magical force that was keeping the 3 griffin mercs encaged. "Do one to me," Steelhose muttered from beside me. "Oh, thank the great egg," one of them blurted out, seeing us through the glowing shell of force that trapped her and the other 2 surviving griffins. She stopped. "Where are the rest of you?" I looked around. Velvet Remedy and Steelhose were flanking me. The goddesses only knew where Calamity was. I suspected he was circling the celestial line, hoping to spot us.
Yeah.
I winced at the thought and hoped he wasn't too worried. I could see the faintest suggestion of approaching dawn on the skyline. A chill wind blew at my mane, bringing the salty smell of the harbor. It was almost a shame that we'd reached the roof in the dark of night. The view in the daytime must be amazing. Then again, the view could also paralyze me with vertigo. So, probably better that we were here now after all.
You ever going to answer their question?
The 3 griffins. This is it. Just us. Well, this isn't much of a rescue, one of the griffins said bitterly. Gratitude. Look it up. I turned away and looked over the alicorns. They were statuesque in their concentration. I wasn't even sure they realized we were on the roof with them. And they were outside the shield they were creating. We could take the 3 of them down with a coordinated attack. Surely the griffins could take out the last one. What kind of firepower do you guys still have? I could hear Steelhove's whistle as the griffin in the back stepped forward. She was wearing what looked like magically powered armor of her own. A griffin design.
Cool.
Nowhere near as complicated or as encompassing as Steelhove's, leaving her talons, legs, and wings bare, as well as most of her face.
Okay, there's something to be said for simplicity, but lack of armor.
Dismounted AA cannon, Steelhove said appreciatively. I had no idea what that meant, but this looked like the non-magical energy version of the plasma cannon that Calamity had used against the dragon. Well, we definitely had the firepower.
Are you saying you guys installed a fucking plasma AA on your player home? Best fucking player home!
Only 5 shots left, the griffin said glumly. Still, 5 shots from that thing should be more than enough. And there are 4 wings of these horny bastards on their way, the first griffin announced. From her voice, I finally identified her as Blackwing. I noted mentally that I would not have chosen the word horny to describe the alicorns. Unless Blackwing knew something I did not. 4 wings, I asked. You mean 2 more? No, Steelhooves interjected. She means 12. Oh, well, moon rocks. Made sense. A wing, then, must be a group of 3. Okay. Explains why there were 3 of them hunting Steelhooves outside Fetlock. These 4 have just been keeping us pinned here while their reinforcements arrive, Blackwing informed us. Wait. I perked up. We're okay then. I'm pretty sure we took them out on the way up. I mentally counted. 1 in the pool, 2 in the safe, 3 in the pit. 1 of those had lived and joined up with 3 more, so we'd killed 9. There were still 3 left. Somehow we'd managed to go right past a whole wing of alicorns without either party realizing it.
Ugh.
And they would probably be bursting into the roof in any minute. We had to work fast. I quickly laid out the plan and everyone started taking their positions. As they did so, I couldn't help but voice my suspicions to Blackwing. What is it that you mercenaries were after in this place that these creatures want so badly? Codes to crack a safe in the Ministry of Image on Ministry Walk, Blackwing said, surprisingly forthcoming.
Oh.
Safe contains an artifact that our employer would really like the possession of. Turns out the goddess these monsters serve wants it too. What kind of artifact? I asked, as I levitated out little Macintosh and checked the load. I was going to use a magic bullet for this, just to be sure.
Yeah, good idea.
Well, the Black Book of something or other. A tome with
It's
some of the
porn.
foulest zebra magics. Stuff that could tear a pony's soul apart, they say.
Oh,
Or
you
raise
never
spirits
want
from
to
the
deal with
grave.
magic like that.
Necromancy.
Oh, never mind.
The very
I'm
thought that
full
such spells
support.
and powers actually existed gave me nightmarish chills.
Hey,
To my knowledge, no pony had ever used such dark arts.
fuck you. Necromancy is awesome. I am fully supported. Just legions of skeletons. Fuck zombies. It's all about armored skeletons.
It was horrifying to imagine that the zebras actually could. Necromancy wasn't even supposed to be real. Just a horror story to scare young fillies at slumber parties. It was the sort of foulness that the Ministry of Image was casting their nets to catch. The purging of books took on a whole new and terrifying light.
Oh, no.
I began to wonder if the purpose behind the
let
confiscation
fear-
of ideologically incompatible books wasn't at least, in part, a smokescreen for this. Because by the goddesses, you couldn't tell the public that the zebras had necromancy, much less that books on the stuff were slipping into Equestria. The notion of zebra necromancy breathed an uncomfortable new dimension into how
Here's the
being
thing.
on the...
That sounds like reasonable, but what we know about Fallout, it's not the actual reason. Okay, I'm only giving, ponies and stuff, like, benefit of the doubt, because they're ponies, and I like them. But at the same time, yeah, the thing is that it doesn't matter if it's a smokescreen, you're still irreparably fucking your country up. Like, this is the kind of thing that could take up to 3, maybe 4 generations to fix. And you know what? Is it really that bad? Okay, my opinion on necromancy comes from when I was like 10 and I played Diablo 2. In that game, I found the necromancer class and I read it and I was amazed. Necromancy in Diablo series is a force of good. Like, the most powerful undead are the undead that willingly serve. And ever since then, I have been a fan of necromancy. Because there's nothing cooler than the lawful good necromancer with his legion of helpful skeletons. That shit is cool. So I've always been a fan of at least neutral necromancy. And who says you can't use it for good? Power. I'm willing to bet that, yeah, there are probably some spells that corrupt. But that's why you license that shit. You get watchers and the watchdog groups. But I mean, you realize how much good necromancy could potentially do? Like, I could make a whole video dedicated to this. If you want. I mean, if you want, I'll do it. And explain my views on how necromancy could be one of the coolest and greatest things ever. And not just why I think it's cool, but also why I think it would be a boon to any society that can act. Assuming that necromancy isn't inherently corruptible like it is in some settings. I was more than willing to make a whole video about why it would be one of the greatest schools of magic. Until then, let's just watch this. And, Lil Pip, you have to remember, you were raised in a stable. You can't trust anything you've heard. Any lessons you've been given, anything you've been raised, anything you've been taught. Man, you are in a stable built by a fearful, collapsing, totalitarian state. You cannot trust anything you've learned. It's true, she can't. She cannot trust what she's been raised and what she's learned. It's all unreliable now. Because her stable is the remnant of a faltering, permanent war, world-destroying totalitarian state. It's not as bad as some totalitarian states, but it's bad. Or it was getting really bad. So anything Little Pip knows, especially when it comes to zebras, like maybe necromancy is actually a benevolent art. Maybe it's just talking to the spirits. Like, hey, dude, who murdered you? Oh, it was that guy. See? You cannot trust anything you've learned.
Fringe of a megaspell event turned ponies into ghoul ponies and zombie ponies. While I was talking to Blackwing and pondering the implications of the Black Book, Steelhooves and Velvet Remedy were discussing our foes. I caught the end of the conversation. Don't all have the same spells. Only the deep purple-coated ones like the wings below can teleport, Steelhooves explained to her. The midnight blue coats, Invisibility, Velvet Remedy interjected. Oh yes, I remember. The dark green ones. I haven't seen them do anything the others can't do. Steelhose walked up close to one of the statue-like alicorns and took a close look at its coat, a forest green so deep it was nearly black. Until now. Butcher, the griffin with the heavy gun, stood at the ready in front of the farthest alicorn. Steelhoofs had locked onto the one on my left. Velvet Remedy had her, formerly my, combat shotgun hovering an inch from the temple of the one on my right. I floated little Macintosh between the eyes of the one in front of me. On the count of 3.
No!
1,
no!
2. In a thunderous crash of
you better
explosions,
not!
3 alicorns went down. So did the shield. The last alicorn immediately sprang to life, alert, and
if you make Twilight the master, I will
that could be heard on the moon.
Kick you
the
in the
alicorn
ass.
Simply was no more.
Just one though. Just one kick.
Blackwing swooped forward and took me in his talons as the other lightly encumbered griffin scooped up Velvet, taking off into the air. I threw a telekinetic sheath around Steelhose, carrying him with us. The last griffin took off, circling to cover our tail. We were a few blocks away when the last 3 alicorns burst onto the roof. Part of me wanted to laugh tauntingly. Then they reminded us that they could fly too.
Yeah.
And, unencumbered, they were much faster and much more maneuverable. Wrapping themselves in magical shields, they swooped to close the distance.
I
closed my eyes, trying to force my
magical attacks,
brain to think of something.
Not guns?
For the first time, party time MGTOWs were failing me. Well now, y'all look like you can use some help.
Yeah, Calamity.
Only once before had I ever been so happy to hear Calamity's voice, and that was when I was facing a dragon. I opened my eyes, staring to him thankfully. I hope you have a plan, 'cause I've got nothing. Y'all just follow me. Calamity smiled and shot out ahead of us, dropping altitude. Turns out the one direction that heavily laden griffins could fly even faster than alicorns was down. They gave chase, but we were pulling ahead. Unless we're diving for a mattress factory, Blackwing squawked. This'll be a really short trip. I glanced back. There was a good distance between us and the 3 creatures, now only visible as glowing bubbles of sickly green energy that zipped through the sky towards us. Stop pulling up now, Calamity called back. Does he have any idea, the griffin carrying Velvet Remedy grunted, how hard it is to pull up at this speed, carrying this much weight? I could see the street coming up fast as we began to level. I smiled, thinking of just how much junk Calamity had a habit of scavenging. I had no doubt that the answer was yes.
Yeah.
The 3 griffins finally pulled straight with only yards to spare, skimming over the tops of the taller wagons. I felt a hoof drag along the top of a passenger wagon. The alicorns were beginning to close the gap. Lightning ripped from one of their horns, shooting past us. Up ahead, the street ended in a massive parking lot. Rows upon rows of delivery wagons were lined up before a long building. With the exceptional visual clarity provided by Party Time MGTOWs, I was able to make out a logo on the roof of the building as we approached it. A filled-in black Omega symbol with a white earth pony seeming to levitate the package on her back. I suddenly realized the plan. An eye blinked before Calamity started shooting. I turned on my eyes forward sparkle, making a quick scan for life down there. I only had a moment, but at least I had Party Time MGTOWs boosting my keenness and judgment.
You mean putting it back to normal?
All I was seeing were red blips scurrying about below.
Because if the effects are really cumulative, the withdrawal effects, you might just be at normal intelligence now, little Pip.
The alicorns were just reaching the parking lot, moving too fast to stop when the first delivery wagons exploded like megaspell bombs in extreme miniature. The first explosions instantly set off the rest, and 3 city blocks erupted in a vibrant cascade of insanely colored light. Their shields couldn't protect them against that.
Oh, we're almost done.
The blast of radiation couldn't heal them from a force that ripped them apart beneath a cellular level. They could not even mentally scream. There was no time. The 3 alicorns were simply gone.
Ooh.
The building shielded us just enough to save us before it was vaporized. My pit-buck screamed as we were hit by a wash of heat and radiation. My EFS flashed a red warning that I was suffering radiation poisoning before it collapsed altogether, my pit-buck crashing.
Again, I want to see Lil Pip get a mutation. Not something big, just something small. Like, can I pause this? You're not going... Oh, fuck. Oh God. Oh, it's going to hell. I heard the first word of this and it was addiction, so maybe they'll get this shit done. But, we got 5 minutes we can talk. Oh God. I need to tell you, I hate the Master. And that's not a bad thing. Like, the mark of a great character is you either love them or you hate them, and I hate the Master. He's a great villain, but he's a Nazi. The Master is a Nazi. He talks about the Master Race, about, purging the wasteland. He's a Nazi, and I hate him. If you make Twilight Sparkle, that adorable little... I just want, yes, a week ago, I just saw that Hearts one. Is he doing little Pinkie Pie voice where, with your friends? I can't see her being a hateful, racist, genocidal maniac. Oh, God, that would hurt so much. I don't know if I could take that. But, oh, man, that would be bad. Yeah, that would be bad. But that looks like how it's going, because that really does... We take the pieces we got. We know about the secret facility. We know Twilight was down there a lot. We got purple alicorns. We got blue alicorns. Trixie went missing from her little shack. Was it the mass? I completely forgot about anything else I was going to talk about. Mutations, right. Let's get off of that, because that... Ooh. What would it look like? So, I mean, the Master was horrifying looking. Hey, it's mutations. Here's one thing I want to admit. I don't like Project Horizons. It's actually too dark. One of the things about Fallout is that while it's dark, it's always got light. I mean, there's always fun and light things around. But I will say, I love Blackjack. I like the character. I may not like the story, but I love the character. One of my favorite things is when she gets the eye mutation. I haven't read Fallout Project Horizons. I haven't, but I do know about it. I know the things that go down. I know about Blackjack and stuff. I know about the mutation and the cybernetics. I haven't read it, but I know about it. Kind of like how I know some of the stuff in this. But the difference is where I actively try to keep myself blind to this, I just fucking don't care about Project Horizons. One of my favorite things is when Blackjack gets the eye mutation, because it's cool. Is Lil Pip going to get some kind of moderate mutation? I don't think she's been exposed enough for ghoulification or anything like that. Certainly not. But something minor, like the eyes. The eyes on Blackjack were awesome, and I love them. God, it's getting hot because I had to turn the fan down so it didn't, the mic didn't keep going off. Damn it. Alright, well, oh God, I'm going to ask. Okay, it's pretty clear. Alicorns are super mutants. They have a hive mind. The Griffins mentioned they serve a goddess. Did Trixie and Twilight, due to whatever the hell Twilight was working on, did they accidentally fuse together? Kind of like what the amalgamation the Master was in Fallout 1. They fused together. Did they become some kind of horrible Nazi-like genocidal maniac? I don't know. Will Lil Pip ever get over her addiction? Will I ever stop shipping Lil Pip and Blackjack? Probably not. None of these things. Nope. Lil Pip was stuck with her addiction. She is fucked.